What is up, Rad Potential YouTube? I'm Mr. Rad, and I'm building the cheapest FD RX7 on the planet using all RX8 parts. But this video, I had to actually buy RX7 parts, and I officially need to take a loan out because I am broke. FD RX7 parts are like the most expensive thing on the entire planet when it comes to finding parts for your niche, special, super rad car. And I'm fortunate to have really good friends that tend to have some stuff laying around. So let's look at what I got, and then we have to effectively do the opposite and put RX7 parts on the RX8, because now the front of my car is an RX8. So the long-awaited time, we now have mostly all of an FD. I found some doors that are actually, I don't know if they're the original doors from this car specifically, but they're at least red, and I'm pretty sure that that door over there came from this car prior to its wreck, so that's a win. They're completely gutted. I do not have hinges, but at least I have a door. And let me tell you, you could buy a whole RX8 for what I paid for those doors. I also scored an R1 1993 lip. So this is gonna make up the difference between my stock 93 bumper and then my fancy carbon fiber splitter that is somewhere in that piece of wood. You just have to be like Michelangelo, like that's a splitter to me. It just doesn't quite look like it yet. We already had the bumper. It came with the car, albeit it doesn't match. It kind of gives it that whole Skittles motif that I saw in one of the comments. And I have a hood. So this isn't a perfect hood. Obviously it's in primer. It looks like innocent blue or real dark blue, which is super rad to see OEM paint on the bottom. But it has been modified for hood latches or hood pins of sorts. Looks like a quick latch or the arrow catch sort of thing. Obviously, I have nothing up here to hold that. So this was a good hood. I got this from my friend Zach at Eccentric Motorsports. They're not far from here, and this was just kind of a leftover hood that he had, and I really, really appreciate him helping me out because finding doors, finding a hood, and I also got a hatch from Zach up there, which it's mangled, but you'll see that in the next video doing the back of the car. Finding these parts is hard, guys. It's very hard. I have a fleet of first gens and a bunch of RX8s for like parts cars. I have no FDs. I kind of refused to like get into the big FD game just because, I don't know. Y'all know. I just don't fit in them very well. But we got the second door over here. Currently, we're in the same stage as where I left off. The dash is done. All that is mounted. The windshield is out of it, so that's a big win. And the next step is to fit this hood. So what I gotta do first is get rid of this fender because I don't have any hood hinges for this car, which means we're gonna have to engineer something, but also the car was completely totaled. So this section was like back here. We pulled it back out on the frame machine, obviously ripped some holes in it, no big deal, but we're making a car out of something that should have never been a car. Thus, OEM FD hood hinges, not gonna work. There's no shot that they would go on here. I could probably use them and modify them, but I think for now, I'm gonna make my own hood hinges, or at least I'm gonna try. I thought I had some RX8 ones laying around, but I can't find them. I have no idea where they're at. They would be yellow. They disappeared. I lost them, who knows. So we're gonna make our own hood hinges because that's where we have to start whenever we are building out the front end. So I'm gonna go ahead and just leave the driver's side fender on. I've got that piece of aluminum sitting on the intercooler. It's actually the perfect height, just some scrap metal. And we're gonna set this hood up here so y'all can see what we're working with. Now, the reason I wanna leave the fender is to help me eye up the forward and aft location of the hood. So the fenders can adjust forward and backwards just a smidge, but not a ton. I probably need to be within, you know, let's say 1/4 of an inch of that in order to get everything situated. You're also gonna notice there's a line, or kind of somewhat some lines because I didn't get it perfectly straight the first time, but there's a line in the middle of the hood. This is the middle of the hood. So I need to center that as best I can and then square it up with the car because without hood hinges, I don't have anywhere to start. If I just put the hood on and it's crooked, then my fenders are crooked, then the bumper's crooked, then my splitter's crooked, then the whole car is crooked, or at least it's crooked to everyone who sees it, and I built it, you know, straight. So if you've ever seen an FD hood hinge up close, it bolts in here. The hinge is like on this side, and then the actual hood side goes out here. So it's kind of like this L shaped. It's a very interesting design. I don't really think the RX8s are even close. They're kind of close. I mean, an RX8 set of hinges might have worked on the FD, but I think just starting from ground zero will probably be okay. Looking at it, just here in the middle, you can tell, okay, we're kind of centered based on the dirt from the intercooler. But if I use this nice wood square, I ichrometered this pretty good. Notice, small gap, and we have the same almost small gap. Dang, I about got that perfect just sitting it on there. That's straight up eyeballing it. We also can't trust that the dash is in the middle. So the front of the hood, we're basing that off these two uprights. And then the back of the hood, I don't really know. Maybe just kind of eyeing it up. That side's smashed. We should definitely look at this side. So like the fender itself, you can adjust this, right? See the gap getting bigger and smaller. We'll go through and gap that after the fact. But I need the hood locked down to then set the fenders off of the hood. I also do not have headlight covers. I refuse to buy them. They're $500 per cover, okay? That's two of them. That's $1,000 in headlight covers. I'm opting out. I'm opting out of pop-ups. I'm opting out of anything that resembles an FD headlight kit, okay? We're gonna make our own. Make our own. It's gonna be so much more cost effective. So, the fact that nothing fits for the headlight does not matter, because I will make whatever I have fit in the headlight hole that we have, as long as, you know, like this line right here needs to be relatively close. The bumper, they never fit, so relatively close is all I'm really asking for. But that's kind of the gist of what we got going on here. So in my head, all right, I'm gonna just start grinding away and getting to work, centering this up, building some hinges, the whole deal. I'm imagining some sort of a tube structure that's gonna come out, support the front of the fender, come down, hit this frame rail. Off of that, I'll build a bar that goes across the front to tie into both hood hinges to, you know, have some support there. Obviously the bumper's got to go up here. I need some tabs to hold up. These bumpers are like the most flimsy bumpers ever, so especially without the bumper support. So to hold up this leading edge of the bumper. And then that should give me like a nice kind of presentation of the front of the car without all the bodywork on it. And then from there, I want to build a bolt-on crash structure. It's going to bolt to here, also hold the splitter, which is in the wood, and then somehow, some way, that crash structure needs to come out here and support the end of the fender. I really don't like how this moves, which is also going to mean that this is going to move, which is then going to mean that the splitter is going to not have a lot of support. So there needs to be something out here from the crash structure that is going to mount to the splitter. So get excited for that. I've got a lot of work to do, but I'm gonna start cutting, bending, fabricating, plasma cutting, getting hinges made, so the hood's on there, setting fenders, and we already explained it. Let's just get to work. So I went ahead and started working on these hood hinges, and this is what I came up with. Just a very simple little hinge, but this is failure number one because it doesn't work. After looking at that for that clip, comment below, why doesn't that work? The pivot point of the hinge is too far forward. I whipped those up last night, got in here this morning, opened the hinge, which I had opened it last night, so I went to bed defeated. I opened my hood, and I'm like, oh, dang it. So when the hood pivots, the back of the hood is contacting the cowl, so I need to reimagine this hinge, and I need to move this point of the hinge back here and elongate this front piece so that way the hood pivots back there, and then the whole hood goes up instead of the hood pivoting here and smashing this piece into the ground. So take two, hood hinges. Let's do it up again. One of the things that's crazy about this video and putting this stuff on the car is all these little things are so small and nitpicky that like I've put this fender on and take it off and put it on and take it off and fit the hinge and cut the hinge and move the hinge and put it back and take it off, lift the hood up, put the hood down, tack it, weld it. It's not straight, move it. There's literally like 2 hours of just fitting the hood to get where we're at right now. Check it out, we got a hood that goes up and down. Prior, I had used those little nutserts, the brass gold looking thing in the middle, really, to hold the hinge up. And now I decided I'm just gonna weld the little hinge tabs in there. So there's basically those little brackets I'm just gonna tack weld, stitch them to the chassis. The hood goes up. It's not perfect. That side's just a little bit different because it's all bent. This side's not as bent, but it's still, you know, the car's bent. So it closes, comes down nicely. That piece of aluminum is about the right height for where I want the hood to sit. We've got, ignore the gaps because we're gonna change it, but just notice that I can hold this fender in about the right spot. Little bit of the hood's too proud, like coming towards us too much on both sides, honestly. If I hold these up level with the hood, see there, it's probably 1/8, just shy of 1/8 of an inch. The hood needs to go back just a smidge, but we can make that like final adjustment whenever we're fitting the bodywork for the final time. So the next step in this whole endeavor is going to be my favorite part of this whole car, probably, aside from maybe driving it and enjoying turbo rotary noises. But to build, and something that you're going to see, I've never done a tubular front end before, but I'm excited to like see how I can make this look. So my thought is I need something to come from about where my ground strap is there to hold the top of the fender up. Notice this needs to be up here, right? So I need to contact this bolt hole. I'd like to have something, you know, here to hold where the hood pin's gonna go, which I don't have the hood pins, but just something in this vicinity. I can add a plate for them as well. And then I need to do some sort of headlight deal. So my initial thoughts are to kind of bring a tube down this way till about where that bolt hole is or somewhere close to it. Come to there, kick it over, and then see how it will lay in to contact the bottom down here. So it'll be, you know, coming towards us and then angle down through there. That'll give me something to make a headlight bracket off of. The bottom of the fender will get held up by the core support that's gonna bolt on, I think. I don't know, haven't gotten that far yet. The bar from here, down, tab to catch this. That same bar bends and comes down to here. I don't really want like a straight, that you're gonna see this ugly bar come across the headlight, but some sort of a, I honestly wouldn't even mind if it was just here to here, and then off of that I could add some sort of a front upper crash support, so like a higher one. Maybe that's what I do. And then there ends up being like, you have a line here that goes up, and then you'll have a bar that comes around that's just the nose. So I want to try to inspire a lot of you home garage guys with this build, because I don't have a special fabrication degree or even special tools. That's a $90 found it on Craigslist pipe bender. I have a MIG welder and an angle grinder and a tape measure and a well-calibrated ichrometer. That's it. We're just straight up building stuff. So just go out and build stuff. Make it work. I 100% have no idea what I'm doing and I'm just winging it, but it worked out perfectly. My well-calibrated ichrometer with how high I was holding the fender up for how deep the hood frame is. The hood is resting on this bar and it's literally almost perfectly flush with the fender once I kind of prop the fender up just a smidge. So that's a win for this side. And it's the same on this side. I didn't put a lower bolt in this fender because the jack stand's kind of in the way. But if I hold this up to where it's flush-ish, we should be pretty much able to match the fact that the hood is resting on this bar. So what that does is it gives the hood another support of contact. Now, It's not ideal to rest this aluminum hood on this steel tube right here because it's going to, you know, chafe and wear and all that. That's why there's little rubber hood bumper things. But it almost landed perfectly to where I could put the little rubber bumper or something on the edge of this to hold that up just a smidge, and then we'd be mint. So next up, my vision in my head, if you can imagine drawing a line from this corner up and then over and then back. So like one bar through there, and most likely have some sort of diagonal support here, and that bar will connect right here. So on this plane. And I gotta go look at Richard's car. Look at the dog. She wants in. It's hot outside. But the black FD that I built has these arrow catches on it. I believe they're out here on the black FD, but at least I'll know the shape and size of the arrow catch to pretty much understand where at in this. I'm pretty sure it's out here is where I need to have the little tab or the pad for the hood pin. Let's just take a look at it. Look out! Buddy, I'm coming out. Still got my fab gear on. So here is the black FD. So the arrow catch is gonna be just past center on the fat side. And there'll be, you know, I'm not gonna leave myself like such a tight tolerance of space that it's just definitely not gonna work. I'm gonna leave myself like a solid 1.5 inches. So I think if I run this bar to right here, we know that the hood pin's gonna be on this side. So if I line the bar up just behind the front frame horn, I honestly think that'll probably look nice too. So here's your look at my two tubular add-ons to this front end. And then honestly, if I just parallel this bar added here, so out, over, and back, more bending, more tubes. I'll tell you, this thing just gets better with every single tube I weld on it. Comment below, would you own this thing? Now that my upper crash structure is in, with room for the headlights and stuff, room for a fender tab, all of that, the next step is to build a crash bar that's going to help hold up this bumper. So I'm going to make a plate that's going to fit on here. It's going to bolt on to the already captive nuts that exist there already. All 4 of those holes is going to cover that. And then from there, I'm going to use some of the old Dodge Colt roll cage. So not the roll cage we rallied with, but the one beforehand, because this is all, I think it's close to 1.5 inches. 1.5 1/8 inch wall. So we'll make this out of 1.5 inch tubing, and it's gonna be one bar, okay, that's gonna effectively go from this end of the bumper around through here. Now, I say one bar, I have lots of short bars. I'm gonna weld them together and then grind the seams down. There will be some triangulation, so don't worry. It's not gonna be perfectly bent one whole thing. This is gonna be like, it's hidden under the bumper and designed to run into stuff, build, not trying to make it super sexy build like we'll do with the crash bars that'll come with the REW swap kits for the green car, which is a future thing. The Patreon guys know about what exactly is going on with that, so go check out the Patreon. Shameless plug to myself, Mr. Advertisement in the flames today. But the brash bar, gonna be under here. I need for it to fit under the bumper and not impede my sweet 1993 spec turn signals, in addition to protecting the intercooler. In addition to, I'm imagining this bash bar is going to come out about to here, come back this way above that, and then I'm going to make a triangulation back over here so that the end of this has this little triangle on it. And then we've got to mount the oil cooler off of that bash bar. Okay, so once we get to that stage, we'll have already done, because I'm getting ahead of myself here, the important part of this. I despise when FD RX7s come in and they look like this. Okay, let me take these out of here. These little supports, little piece of aluminum. Y'all get to see this thing with the hood down. Let me hide my turbo, keep all the dirt out of it, lay my over-engineered hood prop in there. Okay, this is your typical FD RX7. Hood to bumper fitment. Terrible. because they put front mounts in here, cut the whole crash structure out, and they forget to reattach the bumper at the right elevation with the hood. Notice where I've got it sitting right here with my hand. Mint. Down here, terrible. Up here, mint. So I'm going to be adding a structural element for the bumper to the bash bar. All right, so the bash bar, as it comes, you know, across the front of this, probably just straight, honestly, because I'm not really going to try to bend it. Like, what's that going to do? Just fill the void up, equally smash the intercooler as hard. But straight across here, and then I've got some solid bar over there, just like some 3/8 solid bar, and I'm going to make a part with tabs to go into this, these little edges here, to hold this bumper up and forward such that it lines up correctly with the hood and it doesn't sit laid back, and we don't have these. I'll probably still have that little bulge, because, or I guess a reverse bulge is more like a dent, because this is a plastic bumper and I'm not going to put the actual bumper support in it, because I am the people that have bad bumper fitment, but I'm going to do everything I can do to not have bad bumper fitment. So we just need to get this supported and pushed out like that. All right, so it lines up perfectly with the hood. We don't need an extra hood scoop, right? So let's get started. I've got the plasma table booted up. I went ahead and drew up a very simple plate right here. I'm gonna go out to the plasma table and cut this thing apart. I got the plasma cutter set at the correct amperage. One of the things, just a short little plasma table in service for you. The speed and amperage at which you set your plasma table varies by the material thickness you're using. So this is 3/16 mild steel. So we're cutting at 63 inches per minute, which is how long it takes to travel, right? And then I'm cutting at 40 amps, which is pretty hot. It's pretty thick stuff. So this thing, 63 inches per minute, is not that fast for a plasma table. Like cutting 1/4 inch plate, I would cut at 30 inches per minute, maybe go down in the amperage. Science and weirdness, and you just got to kind of play with your plasma table a little bit if you have one. But this saves so much time, because now I cut this twice for that, right? Then for the green car, I cut 2 more of them, and then for all the other bash bars I need to make for RX8s, I just have the file. I come out here and hit go, load the metal in, bam, bam, boom, we're done. So in theory, I typically do a test run. I like to watch to make sure that the cutter isn't going to go off the material, because if it goes off the material, then I am like obviously cutting air, and you can't cut air with a plasma table. It has to have the arc to work. Go to work 0, and we turn dry run off. And then I stand over here facing away, and hopefully you guys don't catch any sparks and I ruin another camera. Perfect, it's ripping. And just like that, oh man, 2 of my holes didn't cut. Alright, that's annoying. We can just drill those. No big deal. That is hot. And that one kind of missed that hole and that hole. That's interesting. So what that could be is simply just I need to turn my amperage up maybe, or I'm cutting too fast if it's not piercing all the way through. Or what I can do is actually turn the pierce delay longer, which means before the cutter starts moving, it's gonna go to make sure we're cut all the way through. Once it starts moving, sometimes it gets hard for it to pierce all the way through the metal, if that makes sense. But either way, this right here, y'all saw how long that was. I did not really speed that up. It took about 63 inches per minute. And now I just gotta go clean these up, drill a couple holes, and we're ready to install. It's like a forge, smoking hot iron. So with the base plates made, I pulled the bumper back off, bolted the plates on, whipped up this little bar out of some old roll cage tubing, and now we're off to the races. So thinking about how the bumper is going to fit on this is probably the most important part, because I gotta have that hood to bumper gappage. Like, it just has to be right. All FDs, you just gotta work on that. We gotta improve that fitment. So Malcolm splitter, bumper, weld, tack, boom, diggity, lots of cool fabrication that ruins cameras. We have a front clip on my FD RX7. I even went out and I grabbed, this is like an old cooling panel from, I think, from Richard's Black FD, and I cut it so that it fits, and it just cleans this up real nice. So let's take a look at what I made. Look at this front clip. Even Letty the dog's impressed. We'll just uncover the turbo because everything looks cooler with the turbo hanging out, and we'll take this off because everything looks cooler that you can see the wheel in there. It's just like plus 10 to horsepower points. So here's what we've got. You already saw I added these bars, okay? The main kind of front clip itself, meaning this, which was basically a whole structure to hold my hood pins and also to hold these fenders. So we started there. I didn't really intend for it to almost mimic the OEM FD crash structure. We'll go out and look at Richard's car after we look at this to just show you the crash structure, but it almost does. I didn't like go out there and look and then come in here and try to recreate it. I just made something that I thought looked cool, because like I said at the beginning, I'm just winging it. I've never done this before. We're just making it up, basically. So this, nailed it. Tab right here to hold that, and then we started on the bumper support. So I'll pull the bumper off and show you guys this after I show you how nicely lined up my hood to bumper fitment is, because when I take this off, I'm gonna start working on ducting and a splitter for a future video before I like put it back on. Right now it's all bolted on. Basically, I don't have the fenders bolted, but not going anywhere. It's the most solid this whole thing's been. So I built like a crash structure out of 1.5 inch tubing, right? I added some 3/8 bar, like I said, up around the top. So you can see it coming up here with these little wing tabs on it here, one in the middle, one on the side. So that fixes the leading edge of the bumper right here where it meets the leading edge of the hood, or I guess the trailing edge of the bumper and the leading edge of the hood, depending on the direction you're looking at it. We got this thing fully welded out right to the frame. Definitely stronger than an RX8 factory crash bar to some extent, I think. Well, I missed the spot welding. Intercoolers here, plenty of gap. Honestly, if I smoke this into a wall, the car is pretty much totaled again anyways. So I wasn't trying to build some like crazy drift bash bar, in my head at least, because I'm at a weird spot in my head in my life right now with this car. Say in my life, in this car's life. I could put a little bit of extra effort into this and make this thing really nice. Or do I keep the like hack together kind of drift car mentality, even though like my version of hack together is probably nicer than a lot of people's versions of hack together, if that makes sense. So comment below. Do we make this car super nice? As in, as nice as we can possibly make it for a totaled FD? Or do we just keep kind of throwing it together? Comment below. Because I'm kind of seeing like painting all this stuff all pretty, and it's RX7 V2, but the FD version. So anyways, crash structure. I think my lower splitter that I'm gonna make is going to absorb or take a lot of any sort of damage from light, small objects, i.e. cones, rumble strips, dirt, etc. Once I build the nice splitter around here and it's chassis mounts to the subframe, like that is effectively my lower bumper support. You know, look how flimsy all of this is. And then once I get in here to build the ductwork, which is gonna seal the intercooler to the bumper and then seal the radiator to somewhere in here, I'm gonna cut the center of this R1 lip out so air can go under the bumper to the radiator and through the bumper to the intercooler. So that's kind of my intent. You know, the spoiler is effectively my under tray now, right? But that's what all this looks like. I'm super stoked. It literally has come out amazing. You can see I got the oil coolers in here. I'm just gonna weld the RX8 oil cooler bracket to this little crash bar structure I made. Clears my turn signal. The ducts work perfectly for the RX8 coolers. Obviously, just a smidge of trimming right there, but I think will be mint. And then I'll put the hood down and show you my gaps, because I'm super proud of how tight this fits. Chuckles would be very proud of me. because I'm definitely not a body guy, but I might be a body guy after this. Woo. Look at that. Nice and tight, nice and even. Okay, the fenders, I need to bring them a smidge forward or move the hood just a smidge back. Not a huge deal, but this gap is super tight, which then moving that back should open it up just a little bit, and I can slide the bumper back just a bit as well to fix that when it's all said and done. Look at that. It looks weird not having headlights in FDs, and yeah, I don't know. Height's right here, pretty good. So the back of this, I need to adjust my hood hinge. I could also raise this area of the fender, literally just the old chuckle spec, and just give it a good bend, and then go back and we'll body work it in. But overall, I'm super stoked. It's like weird seeing this thing with a whole front end on it and not just like me zip tying the bumper to it so it looks good for a picture. And then we need to get rid of the heinous wide body. But next up on the list, doors. So we bought these doors. They were very expensive because FD parts are freaking expensive. And they didn't come with hinges because, well, FD hinges, a nice pair of FD hinges costs just as much as I paid for these doors. And I don't want to buy them. So I was like, an RX8 and an FD RX7 can't be that far off, right? So I grabbed a set of RX8 hinges from the totaled RX8 that we want to put on this car, and check this out. It's meant to be, guys. The RX8 hinges bolt on to the FD doors. Now, this hinge is not going to bolt on to the car. We might get one of these bolts in here. So I'm going to have to drill or weld or do some stuff to the chassis side of this hinge, but that's okay, because at least we have half of it figured out, and that's better than spending $300 on a set of FD door hinges, because I think they're like 180 or 200 bucks a side, which is just astronomically stupid for door hinges. But then again, I get it. There's only 31,000 FDs. They are pretty rare. Parts are pretty hard to find, and no one reproduces them. So I get it. Trust me, I'm there. I have all the weird and obscure cars. I understand. It's worth what somebody's willing to pay. I'm just only willing to pay RX8 money for an FD, which is why mine's this, obviously. So I went ahead and bolted this side set of hinges on. I think it's going to function correctly. The pictures I looked at of FD hinges, this backing plate here that mounts to the door that bolts, straight to the RX8, looks to be about the same. I think this might be a little bit different here, but let's put this on the car and take a look at it, and we'll see how this lines up. I am going to definitely have to take this fender off though, which is mildly inconvenient because it's all bolted on there and gapped nice, but still has to come apart. Now, we would need the fender to line up the door, but I need to get the door kind of fitted to the door opening first, and then I'll make sure I have enough adjustment at the hinge to then align the fender and the door together, if that makes sense. Everything with bodywork, what I've learned from Chuckles teaching me and doing it over the years for me, is like you kind of pick a point, you start there, you work through it once, you decide, okay, I want to make a small adjustment on this original start point, and then that trickles through everything again. So it's more like at this point, because Chuckles doesn't come out here to look at this and science it. Send him some pictures though, he's pretty proud. That I can't just finish it, if that makes sense, because you gotta, it's 14 different variables. It's like trying to align a bunch of bubbles, and you just, when you move one of them around, the other one inflates more, and then it's just a whole process. So I also don't have door latches because door latches are expensive. So we're gonna have to make some sort of a door latch for this out of stuff that's affordable. I am way off. Way better than I thought. I think I'm gonna need a spacer or something for this upper, but I think that'll be okay. Let me get a zip tie on this so it doesn't fall off, and then I'll show you what I'm looking at. Maybe it'll just stay. Don't come crashing down for 4.2 seconds. It's gonna be longer than 4 seconds. My zip ties are in the truck. Look at that, it almost fell off. It was trying. So the other thing I don't have is door seals, and I'm pretty sure door seals are also gonna be expensive. In addition to the drip rail trim, which I know is expensive, but I'm pretty sure you can get it new from Mazda. Am I gonna buy it new from Mazda? No. Are we gonna try to put some on? Maybe. Would I fake it and just paint it on? Of course. So here's what we got. Door fitted, not too bad. Mega door dings, or just from getting knocked over inside the shop all the time. You can see our hinges here. I think the door needs to go up just a smidge. We're missing this line right here that kind of needs to go up and in. So I'll make a little shim or something to sit in here to help hold the door up. It's honestly not too far off. You know, am I gonna have to, because that kind of needs to sit right about there. And I don't think, it can't go in any further because of the lower hinge. Like the lower hinge is too long, thus holding the door out at the bottom. But I'm honestly not opposed to that. I don't particularly mind it. This side is the straight side of the car. The other side of the car is the one that got smashed by a minivan. So this should be the easier side, and we should kind of understand what we have going on over here. Now I know I had put this door on with the fender on, and it's reasonably close. So just fitting the door to this opening, we should be pretty good. You know, no door seals in here either. I think my plan is to simply, I'm gonna cut this tab off, but put Lexan inside this channel and screw it down. You know, that'll cover the mirror spot. I guess the mirrors go here, but the proverbial mirror spot. It'll go down in this channel a little bit and screw on, and then that Lexan will be removable if I want to, but I don't know that I'm gonna like make it super sexy quarter turn fastener fastened. I think it'll probably just be zip screw fastened and then have some sort of a foam tape in here to help seal it and prevent it from rattling. It's more so like a keep the windows up while I'm hauling it on an open trailer so my seats don't get wet kind of deal. Not so much a permanent window, if that makes sense. But that should clean up this ugliness, that ugliness. So here's what I'm talking about, a spacer. See how this hinge doesn't sit flush right here? We're gonna have to make up that gap somehow. Obviously, like I said a second ago, the door still needs to go up. I honestly could use this hole right here. Notice we have one threaded hole, the back one there, that lines up about perfect. And that gives me a decent space. We're definitely resting on the latch at the back, which is okay, because I can always do this with the door eventually. So I think maybe the solution is put a pin in that one to hold it, make some sort of a plate that I can cut this out maybe with 2 nuts on the back and weld that plate in there. So that way the plate will sit proud of the door jamb, and then that should give us the space we need and allow for it to bolt in. And then this front one down here, I don't know if I can just put a nutsert in there and that would be enough, you know, holding power to hold the door. But if it's sitting this low, I might be able to drill the hole here. Might be able to drill a hole here that would line up with the other bolt for the OEM FD hinge, or hammer this edge flat, or maybe cut that edge out and weld a small plate on and then drill the hole. Time for some more engineering, so I'm excited. We will get these doors fitted now. I call this RX8 to FD hinge conversion. And yes, this is very hot. So I welded a backing plate to the upper hinge to make up that space, drilled the holes for the FD body side. The door opens and closes. So this is finished welded. I think I'm just gonna notch the lower hinge. It's taking a good chunk of weight, but I don't think it's really gonna throw itself out like of alignment too much with 2 bolts in it. So we're gonna run with that because I think this is gonna really take up a big chunk of the heaviness of that door. You know, if an RX8 got away with this hinge, RX8 doors are heavy. These doors are tin cans, especially after I've gutted them. There's no glass, no regulators. You know, there's no $7,000 worth of an RX7 investment into your door. This will be fine. Science. I'm not saying that I'm a professional body guy now. Look at this. Just wait, listen for it. Perfectly centered on the latch, baby. Check this out. You're probably not gonna be able to see it, but down in here, there's a little door striker. Oh yeah, let's just throw my brand new flashlight. Look at this. Brand new flashlight. Are you serious? No way. It's brand new. Usually you tap it on stuff, it comes up. Really? That's annoying. My brand new flashlight batteries are dead. Well, down in here, there's a striker. You can see it right here. There's also a gap right here in the door, and what you don't want is for when that hits, that this part of the door hits the striker and then the door goes up or down. Means it closes perfect. If the hinges are sagging or the door is too low, then it hits the striker and you feel the door go up, or you feel the door go down. Now, my door had an altercation. This was the original door to this car. The previous owner backed into something with the door open. I don't know, tore the door up. So Chuckles will have to fix this because I'm not a super, crazy body guy, but we can definitely, it all looks kind of low. I don't know. FDs are gnarly because there's not a straight line on these dang cars. So everything is just crazy curvy and whatever. And we don't do waves around here. No dice on the waves. It has to be straight, clean, sexy, mirror finish. If you've ever seen my RX8 in person, it looks nice. So let's put this fender back on and see how the door lines up with that. All I did, y'all saw this mod, to the bottom hinge was I slotted this front hole. That's an existing 10mm like threaded hole. This I just drilled out an existing hole here as well, and then there's just a nut on the back side. You can actually reach it. If you look kind of down there, you can see there's a hole, and that's where I can reach in there to tighten the nut. So, door number 1 attached. I can get an RX8 door seal on here. Let's take a look at an RX8. The pinch weld goes the same direction. We can definitely put an RX8 door seal on here, and I definitely have a lot of RX8 door seals laying around. So, this side, I'm going to do the exact same thing I did on that side, so cut and modify the top hinge, which should take a majority of the weight. The bottom hinge is just in compression. This one's going to be in tension, so pulling on it as the door tries to rotate down around that upper hinge point. So we'll modify this, modify that, bing bang. This one's still zip tied, but it should open and close just the same. This is the side of the car that did get smashed, so notice the door is in its spot, and notice how tight this gap is right here. I don't really know what my solution is going to be for that, because I'm probably not going to be able to move the door that much further forward. It's like hitting on the frame itself, not just where the hinges line up. So if you can imagine this section of the door that fits into the outline of the car, up here is already hitting the A-pillar, because that A-pillar was completely caved in by a minivan. So, let's finish the doors. A moment of truth. Putting the hood down. Let's check on these gaps. All I want is it to be better than most FDs. And I think we've achieved this. Woo! This side's a little bit high right here, but I don't have my hood pins in, so I can raise the hood up just a smidge. And that'll make that bumper to hood gap mint. The gap's pretty nice there. I'll bring you on close here and show you in a second. I just gotta... Oh, the hood's still a little high in the back. Alright, so here's... This door doesn't quite close all the way either, because... You can see my witness mark right here. I'm gonna have to take a hammer and dent that in. It's contacting right there. So one of these needs to give. Some way or the other. It's definitely because things aren't straight. Stuff's been bent. I can't really... Maybe the upper hinge needs to like be spaced off, like spaced out a bit. Like put some washers behind it, but it won't go all the way closed. I have to force it a little bit there. And then I hate this gap right here. Is so tight. And it really just needs to be even. But also this side was completely mangled. So I think just because the gap isn't like the gap isn't uniformly tight all the way around, it's kind of, bent, that I may do, like I was saying, that old hot rod trick where I'm just like physically gonna grind the edge of this down. Like we're just gonna shorten the door by a little bit, and then that will open up this section of the gap right here to match like what it does down here. Hammer that dent back out. Hammer that dent back out. This door, not too bad. It's red, not from this car. Stoked for that. And then here is the front gaps. So if you watch, see how the fender moves when I move the door? Now if I go ahead and pop this in, it's like touching. So I just need to clearance the edge of that fender or even the door a little bit. I can probably also try to scoot the bottom of it forward, but notice, see how this gap is getting bigger as I'm scooting that forward? So, you know, sacrificing some gap here to make up gap there, or shorten this a little bit, shorten the door a little bit, and get this gap, which is basically touching, to be a little bit better. And as you saw, I can't exactly move the door backwards because we're already touching back there. So everything with bodywork has give and take, but at least now, check that out. We got a door that opens and closes. And no, it doesn't catch on the striker. We got the height right, so pretty fired up for this side. Now let's look at the hood to fender gap. Nailed it. I still, like I said, I want to move the hood back just a smidge, or do the same thing. I could like tighten, shorten this gap up a little bit to make that line up. Honestly, if I could bring the fender forward, maybe that would help. If I brought the whole fender forward, that would help with that gap back there. So maybe we end up doing that. I don't know. At this point, it's I've got it good enough that Chuckles can come in here and massage this after we paint it, because we are going to paint this car. So it's going to look nice, but like I said, I'm not the body guy. I'm just winging it, and I just need to get it close enough for him. So same here. Check this out. Love this gap. Nice and tight. And then, like I was saying, elevation wise, if the hood comes up just a smidge, then it's nice and air going over this. Aero catches are going to make the brackets for that, etc. But that's waiting on the aero catches to show up in the mail. Not bad there. Nice and even all the way here. Here you can see where the hood is still just a little bit forward. So, you know, either bring that fender forward, now the hood's right, and then I got to bring this fender forward, but then this gap is really good for the door. Nice and even on this side, that just isn't screwed in all the way. And then check this out, this door, as we know, opens perfect, which is good, because it's the driver door, which I'll be opening all the time. The last thing I want to do for you guys is I'm going to pull this front bumper off so y'all can see the whole front crash structure without any of the bumper or anything covering it up. All right. Check it out. Should just lift right off of here. Nice. Look at this. So I even use these little like bumper clips in here so the nut is on the back, stays in place. Nice 3/8 solid rod going across there. Center support not going anywhere. Tabs here, tabs here. This is where that cooling tray sits, so I'm just going to drill this out and put those plastic clips in there. I love all these old stickers from the FD back in the day, you know. SPD Racing, you can see Fab, so cool. Oil coolers chilling down here. So notice it looks very much like a normal R1, you know, RX7, which would have had twin oil coolers on an R1. If you did a front mount, it kind of would have been in this location on your FD. Your stock radiator on an FD looks like that, which we'll go out and look at Richard's car here in a second to show you that core support stuff as well. I haven't forgotten. I literally took the RX8 bracket, which bolts to the like RX8 apron under the headlight, and just welded it right to here. Got the two brackets here. It does wobble, okay, which is very inconvenient. I need to tighten these bolts. But on an RX8, there's actually a little bracket that goes from the bottom of this like straight up. It's really weird because on these 8s, they're not strong at all. So like, see this bracket right here that just goes up the back of this? And like the whole oil cooler moves on a stock RX8 as well. So it's probably good that they're a little more breakaway for the sake of if I hit something with the oil cooler, that the oil cooler just folds instead of like just destroying the cooler, you know, if you have them super fixed. But I definitely feel like I need to add, you know, once the lines are on there, there'll be something to hold it, but this whole, you know, swinging under the oak tree out back deal, not ideal. So there needs to be something from here, probably up to maybe the intercooler bracket, or maybe I'll tie it into the splitter. Like I could put a piece that kind of, I don't know. Comment below, how would you mount the bottom of the oil cooler? It's like I need something to hold it though. And I think that that has to do with the splitter. I think that's probably the best move. Something on the splitter when it goes in here that just helps to hold this. And maybe there's a, that just makes getting the splitter on and off real a pain in my butt. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Maybe the ductwork holds it? Either way, I do want to cap these off because I hate open holes like that, so we'll do that. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I'm super pumped. This literally looks amazing. I wouldn't say it's exactly how I dreamt it up, but it is like exactly how we made it, you know, look. So the next steps from here, pretty simple. I got a bunch of parts coming in the mail for this thing, fabrication stuff. So a nice tight radius 90-degree aluminum pipe. We'll put the air filter over here in the headlight. I got headlights that are coming for it. You know, all the plumbing stuff. So AN lines for the oil coolers, all that stuff. We have to sort all of that out. There's a lot of work left to do, and, you know, connect all the wiring. And then the back half of the car, we're like far from done. I need to install the fuel cell from the rally car, RIP the Colt, into the back of this. So we got to cut up the back of the car, which is a future video, and I got a hatch. So anyways, with that, that's the end of today's video. A ton of stuff done on this thing. It looks like a real car now. We got a front clip on it, and I cannot wait. I don't know, drift car, track car, maybe both. Probably still gonna put a handbrake in it regardless, and who knows? Hopefully it's fast. It's starting to look like an FD, and I just love it. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Live a life you don't need a vacation from. See you in the next one. Keep it rad. It's like the perfect FD, guys. It's the perfect FD for me, because I'll be able to fit in it slick top. I can mount the seat on the floor, not feel bad for chopping up an FD. It's got a Renesis engine, all the Haltech goodies, and it's already smashed up, so I don't have to feel bad. Oh, I gotta show you the core support on Richard's car. So unfortunately, had a slight issue with Richard's car, so it's up here again. It's been ripping. I haven't uploaded the full video on this because I'm gonna do a full build video. So like the entire build in one video, documenting all of the issues, anything you need to do to build a 450 horsepower FD is all gonna be in this video. And I've got an issue with either the turbo or an oil control ring failure. But notice the core support shape, how it comes up and goes back. Super rad. Also, this thing's a ripper. It put down 462 at 14 pounds of boost on E85. And that was just, we were running into some boost creep issues with the like off-the-shelf manifold. So, you know, some nice like EFR goodies or something in the future. And it's gonna be a proper, not that it's slow right now, but it's gonna be a proper FD shredder. Peace, guys.